Around, what I'm here about is, I received a bill from the, garbage. And what it is, I've been in this, house that I bought about since 2011, 3 years ago, okay? And I never received a bill from them, okay? I just received one about 2 weeks ago. Okay, I called it wondering, what is this about? Because I thought that the bill was rolled in with the garbage collection, if I was rolled in with the sewage, because I used to live in Homestead, and that's how they did it. Okay. They were saying that I was supposed to call them up and tell them that, and that I moved in it. Well, I received sewage bill from the borough. You know, no problem, paid up. All my bills are paid up, taxes, everything. So what I'm here about is I want to know if I can get relief of the penalties for the last 3 years and the penalties and the interest. Okay, and I'll pay my 3 years at the $120 rate. Okay, 3 years here, plus a year I'm gonna owe for 120 within the next 6 days. I promise you within the next 6 days. There was a complete oversight. There's nowhere in the world I could look. They had to send something there saying the resident of 415 East 11th Avenue. Then I was gonna open it up and nothing like that.
If I could respond, our trash billing is done by legal tax, so you file it by legal tax. And the trash bills are billed to every property in the borough, whether it's even occupied or not, it's my understanding. Is that correct, Dave? So you'd probably have to take that up with legal tax. Now, if legal tax admits to you that they never sent you a bill, then maybe I think they can waive penalties for non-interest, right?
It would be a unique circumstance. Typically, that's not allowable under the law. You're describing a situation that maybe could be an exception, but you have to address it with legal tax. You're saying from the day you moved in, you never received a bill. It's not that you did not pay any bill. You were willing to pay. I don't know those details, and legal tax would.
I called them.
What'd they say?
They just told me that I was supposed to, once I moved in, call them and tell them that I need garbage collection. I never received any information saying that I was supposed to do that. So they told me that I would have to take it up with you guys here. So I was going to go downstairs, and the secretary told me that I would have to come to a council meeting. That's when I signed up for that.
People aren't aware of this. This happens on a regular basis.
Yes.
People have all intentions of paying, but they're not notified, and then years go by, and all of a sudden they have penalties and interest.
Wait, guess how they found out that I lived there? I had a Christmas tree and I had it removed, and that's how they found out I lived there.
Are you renting or do you own? You renting or you own?
So at your closing, no one notifies you about that. I was going to ask you that. The closing, you're not told as of this day you have to notify legal tax. Nothing's ever brought up. I don't think so. I believe you're right.
I'll tell you what.
So here's what I want to do. I'm going to be kind enough to let you do that. I'll pay everything up at the $120 rate for up to and including this year within the next 6 days.
Well, we can't make that deal with you on the floor, Mr. Brown. I invite you to give Harry a call in the office. Harry, and talk to him. Harry call, he's our borough manager, and then he can talk to legal tax about the circumstances. Okay. I don't know that, penalty is appropriate if they say they never sent a bill.
I'm here from 8 to 5.
I have a question.
Mr. Shields.
Mr. Kieran, when we issue occupancy permits, is there anything said in legal tax that we have issued this occupancy permit and know someone's residing there?
Legal tax is also has to sign off on everything saying that if there's a transfer of property of ownership.
They're aware of it.
They're aware of it.
Well, and what they've told me is when somebody puts water service on, you gotta have water when you live there, that automatically starts for trash bills. So it looks like it could be an oversight if they they can tell us that they didn't send a bill. Talk to Harry and see if we can get it worked out.
Mr. Lloyd, I don't understand why they don't send certifies to us. I think Mr. Schultz said they should send if a person doesn't pay, they should send certifies saying, hey, you're in pay.
I agree.
That should
We'll
be-
talk to legal tax about, trying to improve the system. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Linda Walters. Linda, come on down. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed somebody. Junior Graham, you're next. Junior here. Okay, then you're up. Linda. State your name and address.
Linda Walters, 205 Hudson Avenue. My main question here tonight is the objective of code enforcement and building inspections of homes. It seems to be there's some kind of mix-up. We don't seem to get answers when we come to the meetings. So, back in May, 2 years ago, my mom sold her perfectly impeccable move-in condition home for $99,000 on Marietta Street. It cost her hundreds of dollars to sell her home to get it up to code. Before the closing, this seems to be a problem. We've been at this meetings several times now talking about this. We don't seem to ever get any answers. So when property like the one next to ours sold, that really was in a condemned state, the laws that my mother had to abide by and the codes that my mother had to abide by were never enforced to this home next to us. Because if they were, the house would have never been sold. Because to my understanding, when you have a closing, that's supposed to be in, everything's supposed to be in code at the closing. Am I right, Mr. Cannon?
No, that's incorrect.
Well, that's what the code book says.
No,
And that's what your occupancy
not what
permit says.
That's not what the code book says. The code book says, I as a building code official can issue a occupancy permit or a temporary occupancy
It
permit.
doesn't say anything about temporary occupancy permit.
You didn't pick up the,
Oh, is there a new book now?
no, you didn't pick up the information I gave out, it's been on the counter for how long? Since last meeting.
Well, you were supposed to have one for tonight, and is it here?
It's downstairs. The zoning book's downstairs.
Temporary occupancy permits, we didn't hear anything about a temporary occupancy permit, we asked about that last meeting. And you said you could use your own discretion as to when these people could be up to code,
Right.
and that's not in the book either, is
Well,
it?
I'll show you where it's in the book. Yes, it is.
It is.
Yes, it is.
So you can make the decisions now as to when these houses are up to code.
Yes, I can.
And you seem to pick and choose who gets up to code and who doesn't.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you do, you pick and choose.
And
is that
let me
fair?
explain to you
No,
something.
you know what, I'm done, you know, you answered my question.
Can I talk?
So, now,
No.
because I'm on my 3 minutes. So, here's what happens. We're told by the mayor that the borough is the #1 town. We're told by Mr. Rick Brennan that we should feel lucky that this house next door to us sold. And we should, have a modicum of standard. So if there really isn't a modicum of standard, there really isn't, because it's very flip-floppy. No one seems to know, and each house goes up for sale in a different way and a different code. So we don't feel lucky, and none of the other borough residents that I talk to on a regular basis feel lucky either. Because if this is the modicum of standard, Munhall soon will not be the #1 town. It's already been thrown under the bus. Our property values are sinking and sinking and sinking because of these procedures that aren't held up to a modicum of standard. It's just not happening. And I mean, no matter how delusional you want to be, it's not happening. And that's what's going to happen. And I've said it before at council meetings. The only thing you're going to see on Main Street in Munhall is 2 funeral homes. Everything else will be slumlordship and people moving out of here, because people are moving out of here like crazy. And they want to move. So that's my point. Why is one house, okay, your house has to be up to code before it's sold when it's in perfect condition, but this house next to us didn't have to be sold in perfect condition before it's sold. Where's the objective of code enforcement if that doesn't, because it certainly didn't apply to the house next to us.
Okay, well, thank you. For bringing-
I'd like some. Yeah, everybody has
Linda,
the same.
please, one meeting, please. One meeting. We take housing stock very seriously in Munhall Borough. We have stepped up our code enforcement in the last few years. Mr. Cannon's been a big part of that. We purchased software. We track deficiencies on homes. So important is it that in the first 30 days of crisis with this new management team in Munhall, that we did actually have a meeting to discuss housing, housing conditions, flipping houses, housing rentals, how we can improve the process, how we can get more people interested in home ownership, how we can improve our housing stock overall to increase property values. Mr. Cannon was at that meeting, Mr. Brennan was at that meeting, I was at that meeting, and our solicitor was at that meeting, along with some other business people as well as their attorneys. So we've started the process, Linda. It's not gonna happen overnight. We are trying to improve, and I wanna give Dave an opportunity to address your concerns.
Now, before Dave speaks, I'd like to say something. I'd like to intervene too. Can I do that?
You're asking nicely?
No, I hurt your feelings.
No, but go ahead.
Linda, I understand your position. I want you to turn around and look at Mr. Corey right behind you.
I've seen him.
You know
He just
Mr.
said-
Corey?
Yes, I did.
He has a home right here on West Street. He has a house that's right next to that home, that's vacant. The windows move up and down miraculously, and he doesn't know how they move around. He's been to the borough many times here, talking to the borough officials. When Mr. Ballas was president of council, he spoke to Mr. Ballas on several occasions. And the reason why I said to you was you should feel very lucky was because Mr. Corey's house is vacant. And no one knows who goes in there at 12 o'clock at night and moves them windows up and down. And they don't know what's going on in there. At least at your house, you know what's going on there. The man who is in there, you had your 3 minutes, I want one. They're making renovations. They're fixing that home up. Mr. What's your name again? Mr. Cannon goes in there and looks, and he showed pictures of what was going on.
He showed pictures of paint. That's not in code. They painted the house and they fixed the floors. That's not in code. They painted the floors. That's not in code. I have the code thing right here. My mother had to put hundreds of dollars in her house for this.
If you're talking
so
about
he's-
electrical codes or building codes, you know, there's all kinds of codes.
Well, there are a couple of things that do come into play. Sometimes you have a mortgage company and they insist on certain things being done. And then you have our code enforcement and you have to have a dye test. And there are certain things, and sometimes the circumstances are different depending on if someone's buying that house on a land contract on an as-is basis versus something that's more. Dave, would you address some of her concerns?
Yes, but one thing I have, when the house is for sale, it's big to sell it as is. Where the owner says, I have no money to put into it, the next owner has to put the money into it. I issue it temporary. I issue probably out the 200, say if I do 150 houses a year, probably 60% are as is houses. So I issue more than one temporary occupancy permit a year. Yes, I do pick and choose based on what the real estate agent tells me, if the owner is gonna do the work, or if the buyer's gonna do the work. Okay? The gentleman has done a ton of work for the house.
You talking about my home?
Yes, and he's right here. May he speak.
No, wait a minute. $26,000 sheriff's sale.
Let me get
This
this
is
out.
where these people owned a home in
It don't matter where we came from.
It doesn't matter. You owe taxes, $26,000 in taxes.
matter.
Why
We
would
don't
you
owe it on the
benefit
house
our
now.
borough?
We don't owe it on the house now. We
No,
don't owe nothing on
but you
this house.
did for a
We
long
don't owe
time.
nothing on this house.
Your track record is good.
Sorry.
Paying taxes, it does matter.
Linda,
It does matter.
this is not gonna happen.
One meeting.
Let me throw out there too. Linda may be a little upset because she tried to purchase that house. She didn't get it.
You know
That's
what?
not personal.
Oh, really? Straws now, Cannon.
We're gonna move
Really?
on.
That is such, that is irrelevant to the matter that I'm bringing up here. I'm talking about the objectives of code enforcement.
Peggy Bacharach, would you come up, please? You're next.
Back 2514th Avenue. Last Wednesday's meeting, I tried to talk about the dispatch and 911. So now, at an official meeting, I'd like to get a clear, concise answer as to the status of 911. I understand that 911 is not something that you can flip a switch today and everybody can be prepared for it tomorrow. But the question was raised that we were told that it was not funded. Correct me if I'm wrong at any point. We were told it was not voted on. We were told that the fire chief has spent a lot of time on doing certain things to get prepared. And I'd like to, A, understand the status of it, when it will be voted on. And if, I guess if the borough has, if the people have any say in it, it's just up to you guys. And the other thing I'd like to ask is I'd like to piggyback a little bit on Linda's and ask, plain and simple. I've been here for how many years, and you guys know me all know me. Who does Boomer answer to on a daily basis? I've heard from so many people, and he knows, I've been here to defend him as well. We've gone both sides from either way. But if people have a problem with, and I don't want his job. People tell me that he's got an attitude, and I don't disagree with that, but I know what my attitude would be if I had his job. So, and I've learned a lot from it. But I think that people don't know who to go to if they have an issue with him. I've had more people come to me and tell me they feel harassed by him. They feel being disserviced by him. And just give them somebody to go to. What do? If they have an issue, you can't go to him because that person's attitude is one, his is another. They're not getting anything resolved, and that's what I'd like to ask.
Okay. Let me answer. The first part of your question had to do with 911 and our dispatch center. It was funded officially through April 1st of this year. We began immediately once we passed the budget. We appointed Pat Campbell, Chief of Police, to be the coordinator for Munhall Borough. And of course, Matt Basarchek, our fire chief, as well as Ed Kletch, to start to work with Allegheny 911 to do a transition plan. They've had at least 3 meetings to date. The first meeting I attended, it went very well. They then had a second meeting to do some CAD stuff, which is drawings of maps, and so that it was coordinated. We've asked our police and fire departments to present us with the equipment that they need. But I guess we will make all the contingency plans that are necessary. I spoke with Alvin Henderson Jr. 15 minutes before this meeting. Again, they assure us at Allegheny 911 that they will be ready and offer all the resources that they need to meet our deadlines. We may not meet our deadlines, and we will not put anybody in jeopardy, and we will not flip the switch until we're ready to do it. So if it has to...
But it is going to be done.
It is going to be done, and the reason that we have not voted to do that yet is because we're not ready to make that transition. Now, I want Mr. Brennan, since you brought this up, to speak to that, because he was at Allegheny 911 today, as a matter of fact. And he can probably, yesterday, and he can speak to some of your concerns.
Well, I'm waiting I was waiting for my 3 minutes, so I'll use it now. But I was at 911 yesterday and took a tour of 911. I was so impressed with it. I was very iffy on which way we should go with it. It's not an easy decision by any stretch of the imagination, and And by my own conscience, I needed to go there and see what's there, see the operation, see what they bring to our borough. And believe me, what they bring, we don't have at all. Okay? We don't have it. The technology they have is far superior to what we have.
I wish Chief was here, because I'll tell you what we do have. We have a dispatcher who, when I'm so upset, I can't even tell him what street I live on, and I've lived there for 20-some years, 28 years. And I'm so upset because a person has shot into my house, or because I'm watching the person who shot 7 shots up the street get into the vehicle in front of my front door. That dispatcher says, Peggy will have somebody straight down there. That's what we do there.
The dispatcher has the information from you, and he's gathering that from you. He personally may know you. That's not gonna happen at 911. Absolutely. That's not gonna happen.
Right.
You know, it's not there. But what is there is the technology is there. The people are there. If you don't know where you're at, they can't grab that information off of you. But if you have a cell phone,
I knew where I was.
if you have a cell phone,
I've
with
lived
you,
there all my life, lived there for 28 years.
I'm trying to talk. Okay, you're talking with me, I'm saying something, you're interrupting me. That's why I'm on the list here as number 11 speaker, because I was interrupted last meeting. I was not pleased with being interrupted. So when I'm talking, I talk. When you talk, you talk. Okay? So if you have a cell phone and it has GPS capabilities and you're laying in your bed with a heart attack, you can press the button and they know where you're at. Okay? I don't believe we have that here. Okay? But I didn't want to bring this up right now at this time because I don't know all the support systems of the 911 system. But I know that there are people in this room right here who know how it works. And I'm going to bring them up to the podium when it's my turn to speak. But honestly, there are things that they don't have that we do have at Munhall Borough. No doubt about it. There's no doubt in my mind about that. That they have stuff that we don't have. We have stuff that they don't have. There's not a perfect system. But their technology is way, way better than what we have. There's no comparison. So there you go.
Your second question was?
Who Boomer reports to, so that if someone's upset, they know who to go to.
Well,
because they don't get answers here because there's too much going on at the council meetings.
Exactly. In the past, his position is reported to the police chief, and I don't know that we've done it yet, but he's gonna be reporting to Harry, so you would come to the borough manager, moving forward. We're gonna make that administrative change. Okay?
To Mr. Brennan's reply, once again, I'll say that I have experienced, not in Munhall, I've been in Penn Hills, and called 911, and been put on hold. Let me promise you guys, this is not a threat, this is a promise. If something happens to myself or someone in my family, I will find a way to come back from beyond.
Lorraine McAfee, have you moved your car yet? They didn't give you a ticket, did they?
No, they didn't.
I was told to be here at 6:30, and I was here at 6:15, and I didn't realize that there was no parking. Lorraine McAfee, 217 East Larkspur Street, Munhall. February 2013, I was served with papers saying that I owed school tax and wage tax. I have a mortgage with Wells Fargo. My taxes are paid through Wells Fargo. I've tried to get this resolved numerous times from everybody. Nobody wants to sit down with me, and I have all the taxes. Now, Wells Fargo offered to send an attorney out because they're saying, by you saying that they didn't pay it, that they're against FHA loans. So that they would come here. But if not, I got to have somebody take an audit myself to see why you don't have it. And I I have all the documents that it was paid.
You know, we don't collect taxes directly, that's done through our tax
Oh, I
office.
know.
You wanna address it, or?
Donna gave me the papers. I have the paper from Donna that was paid.
Well, then why doesn't Wells Fargo know that it's paid? If you
Well,
have
they
a
know
problem,
it's paid. They sent me the amortization.
well, then what's the problem?
That I would like to know then. Somebody please tell me.
She said she was served papers. Who sued you?
Legal tax.
Okay,
Legal Justin, I went in the vault and I
One,
pulled all,
one meeting, please, let Donna speak.
I pulled all of Lorraine's receipts out for her, because we're giving it to Koski, right?
Right.
And they're saying she wasn't paid, the mortgage company actually paid them, I pulled every one of her receipts out and took them over her house. And I thought it was taken care of, but I guess it's
Did you
not.
take those receipts to legal tax?
I took it to legal tax. I put the 2 managers here that aren't here anymore. I can't get an answer from anybody. And I thought, well, so what? So they put a lien against my property. I thought, well, I'm by myself. I have nobody to leave the property to. Let the lien stay there. But you know what? Now it's hurt my credit.
Gary will help you, can you come and see him tomorrow? Come in and we'll call the mortgage company.
Oh, yeah, I never looked at 20 years.
Well, Gary will expedite you getting the legal tax to give them the proof of the day.
Okay, if not, I'll go.
Well, she may have to do it again. Harry can call Garrett over at legal tax and try to help you get it resolved. But, you know, that's something between you and legal tax, we will help you, okay?
Yeah, but it just doesn't make sense. I've been in that house 44 years and I have a mortgage, and I've never had a case with that out of my property.
Harry will help you out.
Thank you.
Don't want to address